Welcome to a video where I can figure out if you need a game in 15 minutes or less. Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everybody. My name is miahtheking, and due to popular demand or low attention span, I have been notified that I speak too quickly for mortal ears. So, I'll be attempting to slow down. Do not take my tone or speed or as a lack of passion or care. I'm literally forcing it for all of you out there. Now then, thanks so much for clicking on my video. Today we're taking a look at a game just released on Steam called Cowboy Life Simulator, developed by Odd Cubit and published by Rock Game SA, released in early access and selling for $19. So what even is this game anyway, and is it even worth it? Well, let's find out together. So in this game, you play as some guy. You can name him yourself, so it's literally just you. Anyway, you're competing with that guy who invented electricity, whatever his name was, when all of a sudden your life is turned upside down and your business venture ruined. So you buy a farm from some other guy and head out to the frontier to get it all settled. Once you get there, oh no, it's been burned down and you've got to build it all up all over again. Classic. So let's dive into the good and the bad, starting off first with what everyone watching is waiting for. How is the gameplay? Well, not to put too fine a point on it, but it's pretty good. I played a lot of simulator games. Supermarket Simulator, Farmer's Life Simulator, Tavern Owner Simulator, Hotel Simulator, Water Park Simulator, Rockstar Life Simulator, another farming simulator, another farming simulator, another farming simulator. Basically, I've played a lot of different simulator games, or at least games with the word simulator in the title. So, when I got here, I was legit expecting this game to have similar gameplay components to all those others. And, unfortunately, it kinda does. However, I don't want you thinking that's a bad thing here, because they didn't just do the basics that every simulator does, they did even more. Ever played Farmer's Life, for instance? The game is probably more similar to that game than any of the other simulators, which for someone like me who loves Farmer's Life, that's a good thing. Basically, the gameplay is fairly simple. You have to rebuild your farm, but that's not all there is. There's building, step by step, log by log, which is fairly interesting and cohesive. There's gunslinging, cattle rustling, trapping, farming, quests, contracted jobs, and even horse riding. There's mining and even hints of survival elements where your character needs food, water, and sleep, which gives meaning to those things in the game. You can build and customize your home and make it nice and cozy. Every time you go to sleep, there's a pleasant little cutscene. There's a lot of different stuff you can do here, and it's more than enough to give the game plenty of life, replayability, and overall enjoyment. So, to make a long story short, the gameplay is pretty good. It even comes with several different types of crafting, from basic to advanced, and even cooking and herbalism. Honestly, the gameplay was far more than I was expecting, and I was very pleasantly surprised. The next thing I'd like to talk about is the sound design. Overall, I liked it. Don't get me wrong, not the best or anything, but definitely not awful. There's some really good ambiance at work here, and the sound effects are really realistic. The game offers both regular voice acting of key characters and the main character with partial voice acting from NPCs. I can't tell if the voice acting is AI generated or not, but regardless, it sounded fine enough. And the music is kinda what you'd expect from a cowboy farming game too. Overall, not too bad. Then there's the controls and the overall mechanics. They actually work here, make sense, and feel natural. I hate when games get the simplest things wrong, like controls or the flow of the gameplay, but it all felt comfortable here. Keep in mind I'm talking about PC controls, but the buttons do what you want or expect them to do, and the game operates the way you'd expect it to. Even the flow of the mechanics in-game, like watering plants, placing compost on your plants, refilling your watering can, riding your horse, chopping down trees, and then turning them into planks. Just overall, everything seems to be designed fairly smart here, and that increases the overall enjoyment of the game. In other words, I wasn't frustrated playing the actual game due to things I can't control, even though the game does offer you the ability to remap controls and change options. Next, I'll talk about the graphics. I'm not going to put them in the negatives, but I'm not sure they belong in the positives either. I put the graphics here simply because they weren't awful, but they're not exactly great either. Game looks good enough, in my opinion. It's a passing grade average. There's decent enough attention to detail and color choices, as well as decent contrast, but nothing that really wowed me or made me think it was awesome. It was just the same basic quality I've seen in hundreds of simulator games, so I just shrug and say whatever. Last but not least for the positives is the user interface and price tag, as well as the overall length and even production value. There's a lot of cutscenes here, voice acting, quest chains, and depth to the customization of your farm that really make the game feel bigger than it actually is, but in a good way. I feel like for everything you're getting in this game, that the price tag is a steal. This is an amazing price tag for everything included in this game, as well as the amount of time you could spend in it and all the stuff you can do. Honestly, that price tag feels too good to be true, and it's kind of awesome. And then you've got the user interface. It's not bad, not great, but not bad. It works, I suppose. It's not overly confusing or complicated or hard to read or anything. At least they got tooltips available for items, a thing I now have to say since I've seen tons of games not giving us tooltips. But it was average enough and not awful, so hey, it's in the positives. But now that's all I got that I could think of to say positively about the game, so now we gotta go into the negatives. But before that, if you're finding this video entertaining or at the very least informative, then please consider supporting its growth. Like, comment, and subscribe to really help out my channel, and hit that notification button, as that pretty much just helps you. I want to help you save time and money, and I can't do that if you don't hit the notification button before you buy, alright? Alright. Now we gotta go on to the negatives, and I suppose the first negative is the lack of motivation or drive in the gameplay, and you could even combine that with its plot or purpose. What I mean is, there's no pressure or driving factor or reason to do anything, other than getting food and water so your character stays alive, other than to expand simply because you wanted to. Otherwise, there's no real reason for doing anything. It's severely lacking in an overall overreaching type of goal, because there's no pressure or strict quest or penalty or anything like that. It's just it kind of makes everything you do unimportant because there's no real driving factor to do anything, you know what I mean? Like, now this could be considered a good thing to some, as a kind of relaxing simulator type deal, but for some, without a reason to be doing what you're doing, it kind of takes away your motivation to actually want to do anything. Does that make sense? It's hard to describe, but it's just how I was feeling. Like, nothing I was doing really mattered except for my own personal feelings regarding whatever it was I was working on. This could be a turnoff to some people. Even the quests don't really have much restriction or penalty. Maybe I just haven't gotten far enough into the game for the stress parts to kick in, but I'd like to think that there was at least some kind of driving force to help encourage me to want to do something other than just explore the wilderness to kill my boredom. The chores around your farm don't take that long, and the time passes slowly, so I frequently found myself finishing everything I had to do without a whole lot else to do. Sure, that could change as my farm gets bigger, but it also might not as newer things are unlocked, so I just wanted to point that out. That's how I was feeling while I was playing. Next up is the stability of the game. Now don't get me wrong, I want to be very clear about this. The game never dropped frames, it never crashed, it never froze, and for the most part, it was honestly really good. It was good enough for me to almost put it in the positives. The only reason why I'm putting the stability in the negatives is due to the issues with the controls and their management of the user interface. It was very stressful anytime I had to deal with crafting or inventory management because sometimes the game just didn't do what it was supposed to do. For instance, hitting tab puts you in your inventory but doesn't take you out of it. Or having to hit the escape button 60 times to get out of my inventory because the game just wasn't doing it when it was supposed to, as well as not being any quick way of depositing or retrieving things from different containers. Like double clicking doesn't work, shift clicking doesn't work. No, you have to click and drag everything. There was also issues of things not lining up when you're trying to farm, or things not highlighting when you wanted to work on them. Lag and prompts simply not working, and overall the user interface was a nightmare trying to manage because it just didn't want to listen to me half the time. The reason I ultimately put the UI in the negatives is because this is a key part in a farming sim game like this, and it's frequently in use. So if it's also frequently not working or fighting you, then that has a habit of literally ruining everything else you're doing and everything else in the gameplay, and it needs to be addressed and fixed as soon as possible. Another negative is there's no way to truly immerse yourself. You can't customize your character, and you can't choose to play as a female. My wife, who loves games like this, won't play it unless she can make a female character, and since she can't, she'll never touch this. And there's no controller support either. Now obviously, these are things that could be fixed in time due to it being early access, but if I don't make mention of them now, then I wouldn't be doing my job. It's just things like that that are missing. As far as I know, you can't even name your horse or your farm. So it just needs more in terms of customization to really help the overall immersion. I mean, you can go to the saloon that's in town, but you can't drink at the bar, you can't play cards, you can't play the piano, can't sit down anywhere at all for that matter. These are just little things that would add depth and immersion to the game, and I hope they get added soon. Okay, so that's all I could really think of to say negatively about the game. So what are my final thoughts? Honestly, I was impressed. I came into this expecting the same slop I always get with simulator games, but this one actually took the time to go all out. As a cowboy sim, they could have just taken the easy route and made this very bare bones with hardly anything to do but wrestle cattle, ride horses, and shoot bad guys. But no, they made it into an almost a western frontier simulator rather than cowboy simulator, with farming, trapping, crafting, trading, and of course, cattle wrestling. Honestly, there's so much to do here that I didn't even get to experience it all yet, and that's a good thing. All this content, all this stability, all this smoothness and depth and cohesive gameplay, all while selling for less than 20 bucks, and it's in early access? Yeah. Obviously, this is a big recommendation from me. The game is worth way more than they're asking for. It's a lot of fun, it works well, it feels good to play, and for all you simulator lovers or farming sim lovers out there, this is a very safe investment. I do hope there's an option to get married in the game and to have a best friend in the game, as those feel essential to life sim type games, so hopefully those get included someday too, but for right now, this is a fairly safe investment. So yeah, if you're even just a little bit interested in this game, I'd highly encourage you to check it out. It's a really good little game. So that's all the time I got for this video, everybody. Thanks so much for watching, with a special thanks to those of you who stuck around to the end. I hope I was able to go slower this time. I hope it works better for y'all's ears out there, that you're able to follow along better this time. If you have any questions or concerns, please let me know in the comments down below. Make sure to have a happy Thanksgiving, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I can't wait to see you all again on my next adventure. So until then, I bid you all farewell.